The family of Elijah McClain got a bit of good news yesterday. It's the start of some good news. There was Elijah McClain is the young man would have been 25 this week, actually, who was killed in 2019 in Aurora, Colorado. Was simply walking home from a grocery store when police stopped him because they had a report of somebody suspicious wearing a ski mask. Elijah was wearing a ski mask because he was cold.
It was cold outside, yeah.
Yes, and they took him down, they frisked him for no good reason, put him in a chokehold, he was in distress, they called paramedics, they gave him ketamine. All of this was just investigated by an independent council that was set up by the city council, an independent panel to review the whole thing, and they basically said the police and paramedics screwed this whole thing up from start to finish. So that's the good news, but there is more that the family wants out of this. This is just the start. So joining us right now is Elijah's father, Luane Mosley, and the family's attorney, Mari Newman. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Luane, why don't you tell us what this independent commission's finding means to you?
It's just confirmation that everything that we said was true, and it's reassuring that someone else sees the same. So.
Although interesting too, right, that the police department itself initially said nothing was wrong, which is why the city council ordered the independent commission, right?
Yes.
It's interesting, like Harvey, I think to your point, that the police themselves, we hear a lot about this, when the police are investigating themselves, sometimes it's hard to trust the results. And you have this independent panel that said that the police did almost everything wrong here. And Mari, I guess the question is, what does this mean for the civil rights lawsuit that was filed last year against the city and the police department?
Well, you've got it exactly right. One of the main findings in the report was that the city, from the very inception of its investigation, was going out of its way to try to cover up its own wrongdoing. And so one of the things that we learned was that during the course of their so-called investigation of the murder of Elijah McClain, the city, instead of asking questions that were designed to find out what really happened, to uncover officer wrongdoing or even criminal conduct, asked what the report called questions that were designed to elicit magic language from case law that would exonerate the officers. What this report does is support everything that we've alleged all along, that these officers and medics murdered an innocent young man who was simply just trying to walk home, and that's very supportive of our civil rights lawsuit.
So you use the word murder, and the report, as I understand it, talked a lot about wrongdoing, but didn't reach that issue. So how does that help you in terms, because I understand you are trying to push prosecutors to file charges here. How does this report help you? This is to both of you.
I can say that from a legal perspective, the independent commission was not allowed to reach legal conclusions whether or not it was either criminal or civil liability. They were simply charged with the task of looking into what happened and giving recommendations to the city for things that needed to be changed. But what the report did do was provide very specific descriptions of the fact that Aurora police and medics did everything wrong from the very beginning of their very first interaction with Elijah McClain. They didn't have legal justification to stop him. They didn't have a legal justification to search him. They didn't have a legal justification to use the overwhelmingly excessive force that they used over the course of 18 minutes. They didn't have a legal justification or a medical justification to inject him with one iota of ketamine, much less the massive overdose. And they investigated in a way that was designed to cover it up. So while the report wasn't allowed to reach the legal conclusions, it provides outstanding factual backup and a legal opinion regarding the wrongdoing that Aurora, its officers, and its medics engaged in over the course of the entirety of the event and the so-called investigation.
It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, Luane, I'm wondering if, I know that the DA initially said there was nothing here, and that's why none of the officers involved have been charged. Do you plan to go back to the DA now and say, it's on a silver platter for you. You said there was no wrongdoing. We want you to reopen this case.
yes, I would love them to stop doing the corrupt that they're doing and start doing their job.
So, given the backdrop of all of this, where the police initially acted like there was nothing wrong, and here you've got this report that is diametrically the opposite, do you have faith in the justice system there that something is going to happen?
It's kind of hard, but I still have faith. I know God's got me and got a great lawyer, and we're still fighting, and we're still going to be here till the end. I'm going to be here.
Well, we will keep following this, LaWayne. We wish you the best, you and your family. I know this would have been Elijah's 25th birthday this week, so we will continue to follow this case. Thank you both.
And by the way, we are so sorry. I mean, it is heartbreaking. I mean, this is an innocent kid that went to get some iced tea, and this happened. We're just, every time we talk about this, we're just filled with sorrow, and we're so sorry for you, and we really mean that.
Thank you guys. Really means a lot. I'm glad you guys are covering it. TMZ rocks. So thank you guys.
We are going to follow this. It is just heartbreaking. Thank you for the time, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Boy.
If if this isn't enough to call out the police for what was, so when everybody saw that video, even before we saw the video, just the description of it sounded completely off, and then the video confirmed it, and then obviously this independent panel saw the same thing.